G'day, my name's Wilfred, West Office PC World, Lakeside Cottage in Lochsport, Victoria, Australia. Today's date is the 21st of the 3rd, 2015, and it's about 14 past 9. And we're going to go a quick drive from here to Lochsport Bakery, and then from Lochsport Bakery to the surf beach, and then back home. Then might go a quick drive around town or back home, depends what time it is. I'm using the GoPro Hero 3 camera recording on the windscreen, and it's at 1920 by 1080 with 30 frames per second and wide view. I hope you like this video, and if so, please subscribe.
Sydney beat Sydney FC 1-0 in the A-League game in Sydney last night. The goal resulted in Sydney FC's 9-game unbeaten run coming to a halt. Now the English Premier League, one of the big matches this weekend, sees Liverpool at home to Manchester United. United currently in 4th place on the table, 2 points ahead of Liverpool, who are unbeaten in their last 13 matches. The Reds manager Brendan Rodgers says it will be an important game for his side.
These games in particular always are big spectacles, and obviously, as you say, the rivalry is historic. So for us as a game at Anfield against a big rival, we want to win the game. I don't think the result will have an overriding factor because there's still a number of games to go, but certainly psychologically it can give you a great boost.
Now in the Scottish Premiership, the second last place Motherwell has continued their recent resurgence. They've had a 4-0 win over the 5th placed Hamilton. America's Morgan Hoffman, the clubhouse leader, after his second round at the Arnold Palmer Golf Invitational in Florida. Now Hoffman followed up his first round 66 with a 7 under 65. He's 3 shots clear of fellow countrymen Matt Every and Harris English, and Sweden's Henrik Stenson, with number 1 Rory McIlroy's in a tie for 6th on 8 under par after a second round 66. He says though it was a good round.
I probably wasn't quite as consistent in the green as I was yesterday, but you know, the putter is a great equalizer, and you know, made my fair share today, which was nice. It was good to see some putts dropping. You know, considering yesterday, you know, nothing really dropped for me. So yeah, good day. You know, felt like I was pretty tight. Short game was good. Could have hit a few better shots, but I mean, there was a lot of good in there. So you know, happy going into the weekend.
But Michael Adams got finished on 3.
Subsequent determination to do everything he can to head off a repetition of it. Compromise is the new government way. Education, Medicare, metadata, industry assistance. The hard line has been replaced with a new policy gentleness. The flexibility of a leader who needs friends and can't afford to create many more enemies. Tough talk is given way to compromise. Harsh economies abandoned in favour of the gentle hand of public generosity.
Because we did so much heavy lifting last year, there's a lot less required this year, and the pledge I gave to people at the press club was that we weren't going to repair our budget this year at the expense of your budget.
This is shaping up as an election year budget because for Tony Abbott, this is an election year. The last leadership vote was uncomfortably close, and another is always in prospect. If you had any doubt that the Prime Minister is in personal election survival mode, this week brought that great standard of the campaign time, the spouse's appearance in the Women's Weekly. I spoke to Helen McCabe, the Weekly's editor-in-chief. She's been pursuing Margie Abbott for 5 years, and she was in no doubt about why she said yes now.
You know, the Prime Minister's office was always, yes you do it, but it just never happened, and
Yeah, right.
you know, I do think it's about broadening their appeal. When I say their appeal, I probably mean his appeal.
Oh, looks like we're going to be voting sometime this year.
So I think we addressed that fairly directly, but I wasn't entirely surprised that she was being made available when there was some pressure on his role.
Helen McCabe, the editor-in-chief of the Women's Weekly. When Parliament
wanker. I find you funny.
I'm fixing Labour's problem. I'm fixing Labour's failures because I'm a fixer, Madam Speaker.
Christopher Pine, but no fix now for the government and its education.
Christopher Pine, you're a tool.
Budget calculations and the promised long march back into the black. Tony Abbott was telling the Joint Party Room meeting on Tuesday that blackish would be back in about 5 years. The way to that objective is still far from clear. And internal Liberal Party tensions were freshened up this week by a Four Corners report detailing angry exchanges between party heavyweights. But there were no immediate repercussions for the Abbott leadership. Independent Senator Nick Xenophon summed up a general view in Canberra on that leadership outlook.
Well, I don't think anyone is saying anything that they can necessarily tell me if they were in the early stages of planning. I think that even the dissident policy backbenchers are willing to give the Prime Minister a go, at least until after the budget. So I think he's safe for now. You know, they say a week in the long time in politics, or some days in Canberra, a week can seem like an eternity.
Nick Xenophon. That's the consensus view now. Tony Abbott's safe for a while, but unless the poll numbers improve, he won't stay. And the rising
I've been thinking, right? I just saw a thing in the paper today about the government trying to stop the cattlemen and all that. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why do we have to stop it? Why do we have to have one shoe fits all type thing? Why don't we get the cattlemen, the greenies, with environmentalists, especially the true people there that look after the land and stuff like that, true environmentalists, right? Scientists and stuff like that as well. Get them all together, work out what's the best, what we can say, the best amount of cattle that can live on the land, that can help the land by eating the grass and helping the fires, stopping fires and stuff like that, and then certain types of weeds. But it's also the fertilizer on the land as well. So they've got to find a balance. Well, how many cattle will fit on the land to keep it so it won't ruin the land, but it will help the land. Okay, that's the first thing. Because we've got over 100 years of history as a cattleman up there in the ranges in Victoria and New South Wales, in the high country. Now, plus my ancestors come from there and my dad's side as well. What I see would be a perfect solution would be, as I said before, get them to go look at the land and all that. They all work together as one and they try to find that balance. Second thing is get the tourism involved. Right? Now, okay, they might not make as much money. The cattle people might not make as much money, right? Because there'll be less cattle on the land and so forth. They might have to do things a lot differently, or a bit different, you should say, because they might move the cattle more often or something else like that. So they get that balance right for in the high country. But if you add tourism into it, you imagine the money you could rake from Chinese, Japanese tourists who want to come here. They've seen everything else. They've seen Sydney. They've seen everything. They've seen kangaroos and all those wonderful things. You get that in zoos and all that. But what I was thinking, right, is that they get the tourism and they get the Chinese, they get the Japanese, they get the Americans who want that experience to live on the land, who want to live there, want to live like how they did 100 years ago, right, or 150 years ago. Right, there's money in the coffers, right? And you if you get tourism involvement, and you get the cattlemen involved, you get the environmentalists involved. They all work together, right? Not only are you looking after the land, making money from some of the cattle, you're making money from milk or all the meat of the cattle. I'm not quite sure which one they using up there. And also making money from tourism and also looking after the land. Right? So all the money then gets split, that extra money, you split that. Rabbit!
cruise just wasn't the same. It became like... Everyone knew what had happened, no one was relaxed. Many people left and returned home today. We've decided to continue. We feel very close to all those people who have lost loved ones who suffered from this episode.
Here in Tunis, armed police guard the Abode Museum, the site of Wednesday's shootings. This morning, we were joined by a small crowd which came to remember the attack's victims.
James Rose reporting now the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has given a series of interviews to American journalists to backtrack on comments that he made opposing a Palestinian state. Mr. Netanyahu now says he does support a sustainable, peaceful two-state solution. But his pre-election comments have yet again strained relations with the White House to the point where the Obama administration says it's now reassessing its position. ABC's Michael Vincent sent this report.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ran hard on the threat radical Islam poses to his nation. He ran campaign ads showing Islamic State militants asking the way to Israel's capital. During the election, Mr. Netanyahu stated, "I think that anyone who is going to establish a Palestinian state today and evacuate lands..."
The selection of the Hercules is important. Of course, it's a symbolic choice. These Hercules were among the first aircraft to deploy as part of Operation Slipper, vital in delivering our troops to the Middle East, sustaining them during deployment.
Now, as I was driving off, just about to drive off again, I come across these kangaroos here. I don't believe it. There's at least 4 here. 10 at the other place. Actually 5, 6 here by the look of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 6 here. Wow. Let's have a lie in the sun, shall I? Oh, that's beautiful, isn't it? Anyway. I can't believe it. I can't believe how many kangaroos are just in this one spot. Oh, look at this one having a chew. Casual, I'm in the sun, lying there having a breakfast. Oh well. At least this person doesn't have to worry about his lawns. I'm going to keep heading off. I've got things to do. Quickly drive around town and yeah, hope you enjoyed the video.
His family and his friends will be among the crowd here today, pausing to reflect on his service.
Andrew and Francis with Andrew Gaynor on ABC News 24. It's 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, 9:30 in South Australia, it's 9 o'clock in Queensland, 8:30 in the Northern Territory, and 7 a.m. in the West.
ABC News Radio.
Good morning, Mike Gardner with the headline stories. Suicide bombers have killed more than 130 people and injured over 300 others in the Yemeni capital Sana'a. The attackers struck 2 mosques during Friday prayers. Both places of worship are used by supporters of the Shia rebels known as the Houthis, who seized control of Sana'a last year. The Islamic State group says it was behind the bombings. One eyewitness described what he saw.
We were
in the mosque during the sermon. We first heard an explosion outside near the security perimeter. But then it became apparent that when the first explosion happened, they used the chaos of the vacuum to enter the mosque in the middle of prayer and blow us up from inside the mosque in the first line of the congregation. And the British-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says more than 20 people have been killed in Syria after suicide bombers attacked Kurds celebrating the Nowruz New Year festival. Reports suggest 2 car bombs exploded in the city of Hasaka in the northeast of Syria. That's on the eve of the festival. Dozens more people were wounded in the blast. Kurdish forces have been fighting against Islamic State militants in Syria and also Iraq, as you probably know. Now, a London teenager has been sentenced to 22 years in jail for planning to behead a British soldier. ABC's Philippines.
The 19-year-old London resident converted to Islam in early 2014. The court was told he intended to emulate the murder of Lee Rigby in South London and used the internet to research army bases. He was arrested last August after a joint police and MI5 intelligence operation. Police say on that day he visited his girlfriend and showed her the knife and hammer he said he would use to attack and kill British soldiers. Philip Williams, ABC News, London.
Back home, the Department of Immigration and Border Protection says calm has been restored at the Yonga Hill Detention Centre northeast of Perth after another protest that night. About 30 people climbed onto the roof of the facility for a second night in a row. Detainees say anger over cuts to after-hours medical care and also the time taken to process cases sparked the protest. The spokesperson for the Department of Immigration says several people have been transferred from the centre and alternative detention arrangements have been made for them. She says all protest action has now ceased and the normal routines have resumed. Meantime, a report has found no evidence that welfare workers lied about the mistreatment of asylum seekers on Nauru to try to damage Australia's border protection policies. And Cleash reports.
The report by Philip Moss examined allegations cited by the then Immigration Minister Scott Morrison that Save the Children employees had lied, coached self-harm and used children in protest. The review found that was not the case, but did report allegations of several dozen instances of sexual and physical assault of detainees by contract staff, including rape, sexual harassment and exchanges of sex for marijuana or access to showers. Immigration Minister Peter Dutton said the government accepts all 19 recommendations, including working with Nauru Police to boost capacity. The department will report back in 2 months.
The Weather Bureau says Tropical Cyclone Nathan is expected to make landfall on the East Arnhem Land coast in the Northern Territory early tomorrow morning. The Bureau says residents from Nullarbor to Port Roper should identify shelter and have emergency kits ready today. Duty forecaster Graham King says it's expected the storm will be a Category 2 cyclone when it hits the territory and will likely keep travelling west.
Pretty good vicious, yeah, it's just going to keep shoving it across. The only uncertainty then is longer term. So at the moment we can enter a tropical low on Monday out of the Anangarita or Goulburn Island somewhere.
The young man is still missing in far north Queensland after he abandoned the boat that had run out of fuel as
rescuers have found 2 adults and 3 children, including a 6-year-old, but are still searching for an 18-year-old man near Bailey Point. Their boat had left Mornington Island in the Gulf of Carpentaria on Thursday night. Police say the group was bound for Old Doomadgee and made it to the mainland before they ran out of fuel. The North Queensland rescue helicopter swallowed 5 members of the group, and police say the 18-year-old
birdies are out today.
Found, believed to be on foot.
The federal government is today expected to release the final version of its long-term plan for the Great Barrier Reef. More details from Jake Stern.
The significant decline of the Great Barrier Reef has meant experts at the United Nations World Heritage Committee are considering declaring it in danger. The Reef 2050 report addresses some of the
bit.
Just weeks before it was due to be declared free of disease. The BBC's Richard Hamilton reports.
When 58-year-old Beatrice Diabolo was discharged from a clinic in Monrovia 2 weeks ago, Liberians held their breath and crossed their fingers. She was the last known Ebola patient, and the country had 42 days to count down before it could be declared free of the virus. Now the work to get to zero must start again. The outbreak has been described as the perfect storm. It was a cross-border epidemic in countries with health systems already weakened by civil war.
Talks over Iran's nuclear program have broken up following the death of the mother of the Iranian President Hassan Rouhani. The Iranian negotiators went back to Tehran. Plans for European foreign ministers to join the discussions have been put on hold. It had been hoped that an outline agreement could have been reached by today. That's ahead of the self-imposed deadline of the end of the month for a final agreement. The talks are to resume next week. So back home, and environmentalists are worried the annual duck hunting is putting Victoria's small population of broggers at risk. It's believed there are only 600 of the officially threatened wading birds remaining in Victoria. Sean Dooley from BirdLife Australia says there are fears broggers will be caught up in the duck hunt crossfire.
It's quite disturbing to think that this bird that is very rare in Victoria and is supposedly protected under state legislation is at risk. One of a significant population is at risk when it clearly doesn't need to be.
A senior figure in the Australian Defence Force says today will be an emotional one for many servicemen and women who are deployed to Afghanistan. Military parades being held around the country in honour of the Afghan veterans, officially marking the end of Australia's longest ever military operation. Since Operation Slipper began back in 2001, more than 33,000 members of the Defence Force, the Public Service and the Federal Police have been deployed to Afghanistan and also the Middle East. Air Commodore Noel Durwood says today is an opportunity to remember those who were killed in service.
I think it'll be a very emotional day for some. It'll absolutely be an emotional day for the families of those who are lost, and Defence is doing its best to make sure they're there to be able to actually be part of the service as well.
In finance news, the Dow this morning jumped 168 points, nearly 1%, closed at 18,127. The S&P 500 rose 18 points, also nearly 1%, closed at 2,108. And the Nasdaq Composite jumped 34 points to finish it at 5,026. That's only the fourth time it's finished above the 5,000 point mark in its history. US stocks got a lift as the dollar retreated following a Federal Reserve statement 2 days ago that vowed a cautious approach to lifting interest rates. Also in Europe, the stocks there ended the week on a high, with the FTSE in London surging past the 7,000 mark for the first time in history. That's after Greece pledged new reform plans and the EU offered €2 billion in emergency aid. The Australian dollar at 77.66 US, 51.94 British pence, 71.75 euro cents, and $1.02 New Zealand. Paul O'Connell in the sport.
Thank you, Michael. Pakistan heading home from cricket's World Cup. They've lost to Australia by 6 wickets in last night's quarter-final in Adelaide. Australia chased down the modest victory target of 214 with 16 overs to spare. Now, Pakistan's loss has brought to an end the one-day careers of veterans Misbah-ul-Haq and Shahid Afridi. Misbah says his side simply failed to get enough runs on the board.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem we have throughout the tournament. I mean, none of our batsmen really got except 100. We could not really convert into bigger scores, and that's what we have to pay the cost.
Minor Premiers Victoria head into today's domestic cricket final as favourites against Western Australia at Hobart. Warriors aiming for their first Sheffield Shield title in 15 years. It is Western Australia's second consecutive final. They finished second last year when the 5-day final against New South Wales ended in a draw. Now, the Brisbane Broncos have won their second game of the NRL season. They've thrashed the North Queensland Cowboys 44 points to 22. ABC Grandstand's Alistair Nicholson has more.
There's a powerful team address from Matt Scott before the match, but the Cowboys could be inspired to victory. Brisbane running in 6 tries in the opening half and leading 32 points to 6. The only concern was Josh Maguire concussed and taking no further part in the game. Early in the second half, Kyle Felt got across the line after what appeared to be a knock-on from Lachlan Coote, making his return to football from a serious knee injury. Felt's try and the conversion from first had made it 32 points to 12. He thought perhaps just a chance, the Cowboys, but but the Broncos steadied. In the end, they ran in 8 tries, Lachlan Miranda scoring 2 of them, and the Cowboys with consolation tries at the end. Kyle Felt got a double for the Cowboys. 44-22, it finished North Queensland zip and 3 to start a season of high expectations.
Now, in the other game played last night, the Canterbury Bulldogs had a 16-12 win over Manly in what was something of a scrappy match at Brookvale Oval. James Brown netted a late winner to hand Melbourne City a 1-0 victory over Sydney FC, denying the Sky Blues a chance to go top of the A-League ladder. Brown's 81st minute strike in what was a grab affair at Sydney Football Stadium was enough to topple the title contenders, who were looking to take the outright lead for the first time in 5 years.
It was an important game. We know, because you're in the last part of the A-League, ending going towards the finals, that if you want to achieve something, then it was a must-win game.
That's Melbourne City coach John Van's shift on Fox Sports. In the English Premier League, leaders Chelsea away to Hull City this weekend. They're hoping to extend their 6-point lead at the top of the table. Manager Jose Mourinho says he is confident his side will go on and win the title.
In the last 9 years, won it once, so it's not easy to win. In these 9 years, Chelsea was never in the end of March with 6 points more than the second. We have a good situation in our hands. I think the players are very confident.
In Super Rugby, the Hurricanes have had a hard-fought 20-13 victory over the Highlanders in Dunedin, and the Lions had a 20-16 win.
My name's Wilfred West, Wilfred's PC World Lakeside Cottage in Lochsport, Victoria, Australia, signing off. Thank you for watching my videos, and all comments are welcome. You all have a great day now.